So first of all, I will introduce myself because many of you don't know me, and the page The Healthy Scenes, my blog. And if you want, you can go to the next slide, Barry. So my name is Sonia. I am a food photographer working in full time since 2009. And I launched the blog The Healthy Scenes alongside with Diogo, my husband, in 2016. So it's been 5 years we have the blog. And we launched it because family and friends were asking us to share our experiments in the kitchen. And of course, photography took an important part back then and until today. And I started to learn photography, how to use a camera in manual mode, understanding the lights, composition, everything has been a learning process since then. And dark food photography appeared in my life in 2007. When I started to follow some food photographers like Linda Lomelino from Call Me Cupcake or Amy Twigger from Amy Twig Studios. I will let some resources at the end of the presentation, so you can note the names of these inspiring photographers. And as I was looking at their images, they have beautiful photographies with a dark, a dramatic look, really poetic. It's dramatic but also poetic, and they all tell a story. That is what I see as the most important. It's to tell a story with photography. And dark moody photography, it's the perfect technique for that. And it's not that difficult as many people think. You can easily achieve a dark mood photography. And that's what I'm going to tell you next. We will talk about the light, as Barry told. It's how you will manipulate light, which props and backdrops you have to use. Action, then you have the action shots, and the human elements will add a rustic and will tell you a story for your images. And in the end of the presentation, I will show you a little bit how I usually edit dark mood food photography. I was talking how I started dark food photography. So it was in 2017 when I starting to follow those photographers that I told earlier. And this image here in this slide it's the one that marks the very beginning in dark food photography. And this is my husband holding, I think, a piece of dough. And looking to the picture now, I will have shoot differently, of course. I will have edit differently. But this is a learning process, and so I think back then I still had reached the technique. The backdrop that I used back then was a white backdrop. This is something that I won't use today. And the composition, it was something that I still hadn't enough background. But it takes a process, and I'm still proud of this image. So we can now go to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about dark mood food photography. Many of you know this technique, but don't know its origin. And this technique is also known as chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro is an Italian word, and it started many years ago, many centuries ago, during the Renaissance. And it was used by drawers and painters, and it has been used since then. And now it's a trendy technique used by photographers, not only food photographers, but lifestyle photographers, any kind. And this technique means chiaroscuro. Chiaro means light, and scuro means dark. And this means that there's a big contrast between light and shadow. And so this interfaces the contrast between light and shadow, and it will guide the viewer's eyes to our principal subject, and what it's around it will be dark or in the shadows. As you can see in the picture of the apple, you have the apple, you are directly directed to the apple in the center, and the other one also, because you have a black backdrop, and this gives a really nice contrast and creates a dramatic photography. So the most important thing to achieve this dark food photography is to understand the lights. I think in food photography, it's the main thing. It's understanding the lights before you shoot whatever you are shooting. And what I recommend, what I always say, is to play with light. You have to practice and you have to play with it and see how it will look. You can shoot with your camera, see how it looks in your camera. You can tether to your computer and maybe give a little edit and see how it will look. But here with dark food photography, what I recommend is to use only one light source. If you are in a room with more than one light source, if you have more than one window, you will have to block the light coming from this source of lights. And so if you have one window, it's the perfect scene for this technique. You have tried to block the light, use black boards. I have here one, even two. I have these are the black boards that I use to block the light here. See, it's a styrofoam. You don't need any fancy equipment. You can use dark curtain too. I have a big window, so what I do is for dark food photography, I move a little away my table. I move a little away from my window to have a lower light, and I use a dark curtain to block some part of it, or these two styrofoam that I put one behind and one in front of my subject, and this creates like a strip of light, like a tunnel of light only to my subject. Of course, you can if you are shooting your subject, I recommend also to use a blackboard in the opposite side. So if you have here the light coming from this side, use a blackboard in the opposite side. It will block the light and it won't bounce to your subject, and this creates more shadow and thus more contrast between highlights and shadow. Okay, another thing, just let me see my notes because I don't want to miss anything. If you are shooting in low light, I recommend using a tripod. Use a tripod because you will have to use low shutter speeds, and using low shutter speed you will have to use your remote control or your self timer, or using your iPhone app, any one of them, if you don't want to increase your ISO, because for clients work, if you bump up your ISO, you will have grainy images, and you don't want to deliver grainy images to your clients. Of course, if it's for yourself, I speak for myself. I don't mind my images to have a little grainy, because for dark food photography you will have more of a vintage look, and so I personally like it. But if you are shooting for clients, you will have to use slow shutter speed, and thus I recommend to use a tripod, or you will have blurry images. Next, okay, backlight. In general, I shoot side lights, so the light is coming from this side. I have my subject, and it's coming from this side, so it's a side light. In general, I use this because it creates a more beautiful contrast. But I also like to use backlights. So backlight, it's when the light is coming behind. the subject or the food. And this backlight is I like it personally because it gives you a really cozy, warm scene, and a vintage, also a rustic and vintage scene, and you will have to try experiment the best angle for this, because if you are going down, you will lose the details on your subject because of the highlights. So try to see which angle is the best for the backlight photography. This was something that I really struggled some years ago, and last year I started to practice this backlight, and it's a really beautiful light, and it gives you beautiful images. You can see next. I have on the next slide. I have a lot others images. You can see all the light in them is coming behind, and creates beautiful shadows, and still you have your subject highlighted, and this angle. And with this angle, you don't lose any detail, and it's you have to practice. It's really, and when you reach it, you will have the perfect workflow for that. Okay. This one too. You have a coffee scene. So this was shot in a winter evening, a winter afternoon. It was raining outside, and I wanted to give that coziness. As it was raining, I was inside with my warm coffee. I light up some candles, and I thought backlight will be the perfect light for this moody photography. Also here, some cocktails, winter cocktails, shoot with backlights. And you can see also that I diffuse my light. I always diffuse my light for dark mood photography. They will be really nice, really soft, soft shadows. And I diffuse this with white curtain. It's a white curtain that I have in my window. And see, it's not a fancy equipment that you can easily find. And that's it. The next important aspect is backdrops and props. How to which one to choose for dark food photography. So of course, dark props and dark backdrops will be the best ones for this technique. I recommend to use matte props with no reflection, because if you have a plate with reflection, it will bounce the light coming from your source. And having a matte ceramic plate, it's the best choice. You can for backdrops, I recommend dark ones. So you can use blue tones, you can use even brown tones, you can use wooden backdrops. They are really beautiful, and they achieve beautiful dark photographies because they have a really beautiful texture that you can enhance when editing your images. And of course, you can see here in this image, I have white plates, but they are matte, so they don't reflect the light. As you can see here, this is a moody photography, and I shoot this. This was I was playing with my props, and that's how I didn't plan this, and it turned out a beautiful moody photography. And you can see that using this kind of plates, ceramic plates, they don't bounce the light, and you can easily highlight your subject, your food, using these props. Here on the left side, this is a wooden box that I have, and where I shoot many food photographies, because it's a really beautiful wooden box with a lot of textures, and it creates, as it has these walls, these walls creates a beautiful shadow. This on the left side, and as it is dark, it will not reflect the light on the opposite side of my source light, and it will enhance the shadows on the right side of my food. So this is I only use this box for this dark food photography. If you have one, try at home. Also use a tripod here. If you have an extendable arm, use this. I shoot this on the ground, so I put the box on the ground, and I had my tripod overhead and diffuse the light. I diffuse the light, and I don't think I think this one I didn't block the light with any black foam, so it was only the box that was blocking the light coming from the source. The next one. So the next one I choose a black backdrop behind, so you can see it here. It's a black curtain. If you see, I support this with two clamps, and the use of a wooden table. So this creates a really beautiful vintage mood, and the viewer's eyes are directly guided to the bread. Also, one thing, use fabrics, use napkins, use aprons. They will give also a really beautiful vintage look. They have beautiful texture that you can enhance on when editing. The next picture, I also use the same backdrop, so the black curtain, the table, it's a black vinyl, and I used a black plate, and you can see that everything around it's smoother, and the pudding is really highlighted and gives a snack, a lunch snack. You have the story of a lunch snack with the chair behind, and this is it. Another important aspect that I like to use in dark food photography is adding human elements. Human elements will change the mood of the photography. It will create a story. It will give you a motion, a dynamic look to your image. Here you can see my little girl is grabbing a cake from the table, and it really gives a nice story and motion to the photography. Okay, next one, you can see other images, including human elements. On the left side, you have Diogo holding a bunch of baby carrots. So it's the simplest photography, just using a black curtain and fusing the light. I think I had a blackboard right next to Diogo to block the light, and that's it. You have this moody photography. Of course, the editing process will help a lot to highlight the baby carrots, but you really don't need cheaper equipment for this technique. The next one, it's also me grabbing a cake. I use the black curtain. I also use the black shirt. Okay, so this will to avoid that I wanted to guide the viewer's eyes to the cake and not to me. So I used a black shirt, and I used the DSLR table because I wanted to give here a nice contrast between the black curtain and the table. And you can see that this is pointing to the cake, and you have also the napkin on the right side to give this is composition, so this is another theme, and that's it. On the next it's the same. So I used the black curtain and then a black shirt and the white pants to give this nice contrast. And this bread had beautiful texture that I made before going to the oven, and it's really a simple photography, and you can easily achieve at your home. Okay, the last one, it's action shots. So action shots create things distinct and dynamic, and create also a story, of course. And this is one of my favorite shots. If you have followed my work, or if you are going to see my profile, you will find a lot of action shots, because they really call people, and it's a dynamic image, and you can easily, and it's easier to achieve them with dark backgrounds than using lighter backgrounds. Yes, I was now showing another action shots made, so shoots in dark food photography, and all of them I used a black backdrop using my black curtain, and you can see that you can easily enhance the drizzle, the pouring, whatever you are shooting this action shot, because you have the nice contrasts between the black backdrop and the drizzle or the pouring. Here you have a small droplet of the I think this was a ganache. So you can see the small droplet falling down, and this is something that's using lighter backdrops. It's more difficult, because you lose the contrast between these two. On the next one, I am pouring out. This is a beer, I think, the drink. So this is really beautiful. I used black curtain, a wooden vinyl as the table, and I had the lights diffused. The black backdrop is already doing a block. It's blocking the light, and this is it. The next one, it's a similar. So you have the drizzle over the pancakes. Maybe here is if I shoot this today, I will have used darker shirt to enhance the drizzle, because here you can see that you lose a little bit of the detail. Where is my shirt? Really low, really when close to the figs, it's you can see the bright. It's like glowing, and you see perfectly the drizzle because of the contrast between the drizzle and the dark backdrop. Okay, these are others. On the left side, you also have a drizzle using the black curtain. The other one, it's also, and here you have a beautiful sprinkle sugar using black backdrop. Here I also used I put the cookies around the subject in the middle. They are around to create this this beautiful vignette, and this is it. Okay, everyone is saying sprinkling. In the next one of my favorite action shots, it's the smoke of candles, and you can achieve this with the black backdrop because of the contrast of the white smoke. And here you can use a low shutter speed or a higher shutter speed. It will recreate different kind of smokes. Something that you will have to experiment and try here and see which one you prefer. And that's it. I used the blue napkin. I used it as a black. It's blocking the light, because it's a dark tone. It's a blue tone but dark, and it blocks some part of the light on the opposite sides. Okay. Now let's talk about the post-processing. So the editing part. For me, I consider that 60% of an image it's photography, everything related to photography, styling, composition, the lights, and 40% it's editing. So with this 40%, you will achieve the perfect image. You will make your food better. And so on the next slide. Okay, so this is the points that will make the difference in post-processing. I use Lightroom. I think I saw someone asking which software I use. I use Lightroom and Photoshop. Photoshop only for retouching, but mainly I use Lightroom for the overall editing. And editing really can make a huge difference on your image. You can easily retouch some parts of the image. So here in dark food photography, it's important because you want to highlight your subject, your food, and with Lightroom, you can easily use the local adjustments and you can bump up the luminance of the subject using color trading. But the key here is to make the subject the star and make it look attractive to the viewer's eyes. And so I'm going to show you how I edit my images. This was shot yesterday, so it was something really quick, but I had this image in my head for some time, and you can see on the right side, on the left side, you have the raw image. So this is something really important. You have to shoot in raw file, because shooting in raw when editing, it will be easier and to edit every detail of the image, so you won't lose any detail of the image. So shoot in raw and not in JPEG. So on the left side, it's the raw image. You can see it's flat, it's boring. You don't have contrast. It's the original image. It was shot on the wooden box that I have. So you see you have the shadows coming from the left side, where comes the source of light. It's coming from the left side, and you have these shadows these shadows are created from the side of the box. And the other is blocking the light. On the right side, you have the edited, so you can see that it has more of contrast. The shadows are more enhanced, and I will show you how I edited the image on the next slide. So, how I start to edit my image? First, I apply already a preset that I have already saved, but mainly these presets are already like this. So I have the highlights are a little down, so I reduce the highlights a little, because I reduce the highlights and I increase the shadows, because I don't want my food to lose details. And if the highlights are up, so that they are increased, you will lose the details of your food. And so I decrease the highlights and I bump up a little the shadow, just a little. Okay, because it's a dark food photography and you don't want to pull up too much, because you will have a brighter image. Then point that I always do is I increase the clarity and the texture. So the clarity will give you a really beautiful texture and will enhance the texture of the backdrop, the wooden backdrop, and also of the food. If you want, you can leave it as it is, so in 0. You don't touch it, and you can use the brush and brush the specific part of the image and bump up the clarity. Contrast is also one that I increase. So I increase the contrast to easily have this dramatic look. So if you increase the contrast, you will separate these highlights from the shadows, and this is what it's called contrast. You can now what I do also is I use the tone curve, and what I do is I bump up a little the black, where you have the the flag. I bump up the black, and it will create this vintage look. So you have, so as I was saying, I don't know if who is watching understand, when using the tone curve, I go up a little with the black part of the image, as it creates this vintage film look in the picture. And I also increase a little bit of the shadow, as you can see on the right image. So this is the right, the small one, exactly. I decrease the shadow, and this will really make the magic, and you will really see your food really going to pop out, and this will create this dramatic look, and it's really how I achieve dark photography. Of course, it's not the only, as I was saying. It will depend on the light, the composition, how you block the light, and most of all here, using this tone curve. And on the next slide also, I like to use the radial filter. I can control and edit specific areas of the image. And here what I do is I use a radial filter on my subject. So here the ice cream, and I increase the contrast, the shadows a little bit, because I don't want all the food to be in the shadow area or the dark area. So I go up a little the shadow, and I increase the clarity. And I also do another, yes, of course, exactly. I increase the clarity in this specific area, and I use this radial filter. I then use the brush, and I apply on the other parts of the image. In this case, I brushed the ice cream spoon, the cookie cone. I don't know if it's how you say, and I used the brush to also have these specific areas with more contrast, more highlight, a little bit the shadow. I go up a little, and on the other picture, I used another radial filter where I use the inverse. So I inverse the radial filter, and I can easily have everything around my ice cream with less exposure and less contrast. So this will really pop up my ice cream. On the next one, you have another picture. So on the left side, you have the raw image. You can see that you can see the blackboards where is coming the light.
Yep.
Harry?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Are you still there?
Still, yeah, I'm still there.
So you can see the blackboard that I used, one in front and one behind. So, or you can see, I use them to have a strip of light on the food. And on the other image, you see the edited one. For this image, I edited like the other one. I used the local adjustments, the tone curve, and I also applied vignettings. That's the box that you see on the left side. I used the vignetting around the food to create this moody look. And here there's photographers that I told you in the beginning, Linda Lomelino. They have similar styles. They all have dark, moody style, and they are really an inspiration to me. And I think you should see their work, learn from them, try at home to recreate their photography, play with light, play with your props, backdrops. And I think it's the most important. It's to practice your photography, your editing, everything. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, wow. very detailed explanation, and then you explain all about the dark mood food photography. Wow, we are so lucky having you today, Sonia. Thank you so much. And then we will continue to the Q&A session. I have note some questions from the sessions before our live shutdown. But okay, are you in your studio right now?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Are you in your studio right now?
Yes, I am.
Wow, can we see where you take your picture?
I hadn't time to clean up as we.
Don't worry. Can you show us where your window, where your background, where you place your background?
Still have here the scene that I used for the ice cream yesterday. I shoot the ice cream yesterday. This is the black the wooden box that I use, and so you can see that this creates here a shadow, and this part is blocking the light. This is my window. It's a big window, so you can see, and I use the white curtain to diffuse the light. And I have these things. I don't know how you say in English, but this close the it's I don't know how you say, but we have this in Portugal, and we close everything, so we can close, and we have we block the light, you know. So I can also control the light here. If I'm shooting on the ground, I usually pull down this. I don't know how this is called, but I usually
window blind, I think.
Maybe yes, and this block the light, because I really have a strong light here. So this is in the afternoon. In the morning, I don't have direct light, but in the afternoon I do have direct light, as you can see, and so I have to block this light. And here it is. I have a C-stand, this C-stand for the camera. And usually what I do this is when I'm shooting overhead, okay? And when I'm shooting a side light, so the light is coming here, okay? It's coming from this side here. I use this black curtain. I put the black curtain behind my table, and this is how I shoot. And I use black styrofoam to block the light. Okay. If I want to make the other image of the peaches. Sorry, moving this.
Wow, I see. Wow, that's amazing. And then, yeah,
I make a strip, like it's blocking here, like here is here and here, and you have this strip of light coming here. Okay, so you have a really nice dark mood.
Wow. Okay, it's so inspiring, and then it's quite simple, but
yes,
you have to do it. It's really simple, but we have to do it.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. What material you use to block the lighting?
To block the light?
Yeah. What is the dark material you use to block the lighting? Is it styrofoam or what kind of board?
It's this is really cheap. You can. I have this for 4 years maybe. And this is what I use. Yes. I don't think it's so. I don't think it's your phone. I don't know the
Wow.
name, but you can use your phone, yes, of course. Or you can use, I also have this one. Wait, I will just grab it.
Okay, so it turns into the studio tour. Wow. I'm so happy looking at anyone's studio. Like, wow, it's very inspiring.
I have this diffuser, but I can use it as a reflector, a diffuser, and it has the black part. So I use it also as to block the lights. You can use anything. You can use even a t-shirt, a black t-shirt. Something that it's dark will do that.
Wow, okay. I really like the idea of the black curtain. I really like. Uh, um, I have shoot the dark mode for quite long time, and then
Mhm.
I haven't utilized any dark curtain before, but it's really simple. It's yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
because if I want to apply the dark background in the back area, it is really big, so it's really
Is it?
hard to bring anywhere.
Yes.
But with dark curtain, wow, it's really easy, and you cannot
Yes.
say that you don't have any black clothes in your home because yeah, you can use any yeah, you can find also in the marketplace, and yeah, it's
Yes.
really cheap also.
It's simple. It's simple. Really simple. And I have this one since I started shooting in that with dark moods because I used the small black still phones, and I had that problem. It's, I couldn't achieve a bigger area, you know. And with the black curtain, I can go to the scene, put myself on the scene, and I will have everything will be dark behind me, and it's really easy to find something like
Yeah. Yes, totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. Maybe I want to ask a question. Okay, about when you decide when to use like side lighting, when to use backlighting. What is the condition that make you decide the direction of the lighting?
I think it's more like a feeling of the moment. It's um, I have this story, I have this idea, and I think this is going to be better. But sometimes when I'm shooting a side light, I always go to the backlight. Oh, okay. So I shoot. I am shooting side, and then what I do is I move around, and I shoot backlight too, because it's
Ah.
you just you just have to move a little and shoot in backlight. But I think it's how you intend to tell the story. For me, a backlight it's more it gives more a sentiment of warm of coziness. So when I want to tell a specific story of like that coffee scene uh, or maybe a cake, eating a cake and a tea. I use the backlight, but it depends if of the mood of the day.
Okay. We have question here from Priscilla Kurnia Jaya. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
how to create blur background with a smartphone? Wow. Okay,
I
so
don't I don't think I can respond to that because my phone is really bad. So I always shoot with camera with my new
yeah,
camera.
yeah. Okay, but maybe I can help, Priscilla.
Okay.
for the smartphone, you can have two ways. The first one, you can like zoom in because the phone camera is really wide. So you every time you shoot with smartphone, you zoom in like 1.5 times to 2 times. It will make it will get rid of the distortion, and then it will give a little blur too. And then the second one, you can use the like Snapseed or Lightroom to brush in the surrounding, and then lower the sharpness. Okay, especially in the Snapseed, they have a lens blur feature, and it also looks quite good. Yeah. Okay. And then I have a picture like that catch my eyes. This one,
Yes.
I really like this one. And then what? This is very beautiful. And
Yeah.
what is this? And how you set this?
The light, the the
Yes,
light,
right. The light.
the light. It's I have it here. Maybe yes, it's here. This is really it's how do you call it? This is
Christmas light.
from Christmas lights, yes. Okay, so this is Christmas light. It's these small lights here.
Ah.
And because of the depth of field, this creates a bokeh. You know, because you will have to shoot with a really low f-stop. Maybe I shoot this with 1.8, 2.0 f-stop, and this is how you achieve this effect. But it's it. This maybe cost me €2. €2. So it's not something cheap or fancy equipment.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful, yes.
Yeah, it's
And
really beautiful, and it makes the picture looks expensive.
yes,
Really
and
cool.
if you move if you move away, you will have you will have a more beautiful effect, because if you come close to the camera, you will see it more clearly, and so you have to move it away.
Ah, I see. Okay, and then we have another question from OT page. Do you
Mm-hmm.
use real food or substitute it with some other material? I mean, like using mashed potato to make ice cream for those, or motor oil for honey. Yeah, on top of pancakes. Yeah. So, what do you
No,
think
no,
about this?
I only use real food. Because I don't know, I never thought in using artificial or substitute food. I don't know. I think it's because we eat everything, so nothing is going to the trash. And the ice cream is going again to the freezer. I only use real food.
Ah, I see. Okay, wow. It's yeah, using real food is really amazing, and in my opinion, like using real food for making a beautiful picture of food photography is the higher level of food styling, because like we cannot cheat with
Yeah.
any kind of material. And yeah, the beauty of food is make it look beautiful, and also we can consume it. Okay. Oh, okay. We have question from NG Sarhan. What about the splash you with dark mode?
The splash photography. I think I only did it once, and I remember to use the backlight, because the splash using the backlight will enhance the splash. And I think for achieving this shot, you will have to really to use a shutter speed really high, and a lot of photos. So to achieve the perfect photo, you will have to take a lot of photos and see which one is the best.
Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah, totally agree. Maybe like I think it's just like this one, same settings of the lighting, get the highlight of the water.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that is
Yeah.
something that you have to look. Okay, yeah, Sonia, welcome back. Okay, so I think it's the last question because before we end this session, and then okay, how you shoot this ice cream to prevent it from melting?
This one I prepare everything. So I start to manipulate the lights. I see where I'm going to block the lights, to diffuse the lights. I sometimes I use something with a similar tone to the ice cream, and I use it I shoot and see how the light is doing, if I'm changing something. But what I do is I take the ice cream from the freezer. I immediately put the spoon in the scene, and I shoot in like 5 minutes. I really have to be quick, and then I still compose with these greens, and it's something that I shoot in maybe 10-15 minutes. But of course, you can't avoid to have the ice cream melting. I personally I like the melting ice cream. It's telling the story. You have to go with the flow, and if it starts melting, it's part of the process. But what I do is I have to prepare all the scene in advance and have everything ready to put the ice cream and shoot immediately.
Ah, I see. Okay. Maybe there's a question. One last question from NG. Like, I see the picture you shoot using 800 or 500 ISO. Why so highly? Because of the natural light?
because because it's for me, and I like a grainy image.
Ah,
I
I see.
I sometimes if I'm shooting with a low ISO, I like to add grain in the Lightroom slider. In the Lightroom, you have the grain slider, but here I moved to I bump up the ISO because I was shooting in low light, and so I
Ah,
up the ISO, and I like this grainy image. I will share the image today in my profile, okay? So you can see.
wow. Okay, amazing. And then, yeah, NG, about the noise, yeah, you can actually
It's
for, yeah.
it's the noise and the grain. I like both because let me see. Uh, I have this in I have this in Portuguese, so let me see.
Okay, so I think it's the end of our session today, Sonia. We are really lucky to have you today.
Thank
I'm
you.
really amazed and inspired by you. Okay, so
So,
yeah, maybe some reminder for you guys from today's session, and then maybe I highlight some like for shooting the dark mode. It's really executable, and you don't need to have like very big lighting, but you can just utilize your window light, and then just like what Sonia do, and then also utilize the black curtain. It's really executable in your home. Especially for the condition like this, food photography is one of the profession that can be done from our home for the clients anywhere from the world. Wow. So it's really amazing and worth to explore. Okay. So thank you so much, Sonia, for
thank
today. I'm sorry for the bad connection before.
you. Okay, no, not a problem.
Okay, so I think maybe we can connect again in the future. Maybe we can collaborate in the other event in the future. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So okay, thank you
Bye.
so much, Sonia. Bye bye.
Have a great week.